Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into the Status Network, the Lyve TV channel. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, the author, Andrew Snorton. And as we do every second and fourth Wednesday about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we've got some great guests doing some great work across entertainment, business, community, and more. And as we're getting ready to wind down year 3 and start year 4 at the end of the month, I know it's been so long. We've got, like I said, 2 great guests, a little bit of a Chicago flavor tonight. So you might want to bundle up, sit back, relax, get ready for a great show. As a reminder, we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. And as a reminder, with the Status Network, make sure to connect with us, not only with this show, but each and every show. We've got multiple channels, as you see below. We even have a movie channel, radio station. If you have needs for pop-ups, pay-per-view, you name it, or if you're looking to expand your reach and make sure to be on this side of the microphone, make sure to connect with us today. And again, to enjoy tonight's show, make sure you're on statusnetwork.net, etc., so on and so forth. And speaking of etc., so on and so forth, don't forget to stay connected with yours truly, the author. As you see right here, the Author's Mixtape audiobook series, it is downloadable on your favorite platforms, Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, and more. And don't forget about the books that I've written, Nothing Minor, 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, and shouts to the Black Only Awards as I'm nominated for Author of the Year. So definitely excited about things that are on the horizon. And of course, shouts to my team for help making it happen. And now it looks like we are going to get up and running and ready with our first guest. And I tell you what, whenever you meet someone who is committed professionally, family-wise, community-wise, and on top of that, an author, an author's advocate, oh my goodness, that just makes my, oh my goodness, let me just take a breath right here. I think I just exhaled. And I tell you what, I am so excited to have just a great person, Fenyx Blue, in the building. How are you doing this evening?
I am wonderful. It is so great to be here with, that award that you said you're going to get. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Well, I tell you what, I received that in the spirit in which it's given. And before we get into a lot of your moving parts, I think it's great for people to draw connections where you're based out of and just a couple of the things that you're engaged with. So let people know where you're based out of, and outside of the author's advocate, community advocate, what are a few moving parts that you'd like to share with people?
Thank you. I am definitely from Chicago, as was mentioned. I represent it in everything that I do. The Windy City is my home and my heart. And so I absolutely love being from that city and representing it, whether in books and in anything that I do. I am an educator. I've been an educator for 20 years. And of course, I love being active in my community to try to help other people to follow their dreams. And so especially given this month, which I'm sure we'll get into, but today is National Stop Bullying Day. And so that's the kind of advocacy that I like to do in the community to help to empower our kids. So a little bit about me, I'm all about youth empowerment and helping people to write their stories and to share my stories to try to empower people. And where do I get that from? Because we're broad shoulders here in Chicago, right? We're the city of broad shoulders and working class people that make a big difference. So that's me.
Wow. And I tell you what, that introduction alone, if that doesn't, for lack of a term, give somebody constructive chills, not the hawk, which is around the corner, but those constructive chills. Exactly. You see me wearing my jacket, so I'm already ready. I'm already ready. So let me ask you this question. And in regards to, we'll say, community/youth advocacy, what would you say was a pivotal moment or two which lets you know this is where you need to have both feet planted? Like, what was that moment of clarity, or how did you know this is where I need to be?
Absolutely. I can remember it like it was yesterday for sure. I have, as I said, been that educator that wanted to make an impact. And so I listened to my students and try to provide things that they wanted. They didn't have a poetry club, so I created a poetry club. They didn't have, an area where they could just communicate and create, so I created Team Bully Free Forever. But what I started to hear from my students, because as educators, we have to listen and we have to see. We can't be blind and deaf. And so I was starting to hear some murmurs of, worth. And I was noticing with especially my African American males, they were considering suicide and harming themselves and just all this negative talk. And I'm like, what can I do about that? I need you to know your worth. You're the future. You're the next generation. So, when one of my students in particular said, you know what, the one thing that has helped me is the fact that you have created this community with us as students. And he literally said that our club, Team Bully Free Forever, like, well, I want to help to spread that to other schools. And so I took the team and I'm like, let's go to other schools. Let's go out, give presentations at libraries, to parents, to everyone, because one life is worth it. And so that was the pivotal moment for me that let me know not only do I need to be an active advocate, I need to write about it, I need to talk about it, I need to do anything to save our youth.
And that is very powerful, because when we think about suicide, and I'll say a number of times we look at it through the lens of adults or things of that nature, but we sometimes forget that does trickle down into high school, middle school, and in some instances, elementary school. So I'm glad that you are putting the spotlight on this. This is a public health issue. Let's just be frank and real. It's a public health issue. So now that you saw or see that, hey, look, this is where I need to be, describe to viewers, especially your books, some of the themes that you cover, not only in regards to, I'll say, bullying or self-esteem, but some of the other things that really tie in, that's like, hey, look, we really have to devote more time, more attention, more resources to our young people.
Absolutely. And just like I did with either the stories that I would tell my students or poetry that I presented, no one wants to be preached to. And so it had to be entertaining and engaging. And so some of the things that I try to focus on instead of, just stop bullying is the power of friendship, the power of community, the power of leadership. And so those are some of the things that I have seen with our youth that actually make a difference, right? They want us to be role models. They want, as trusted adults, that we listen to them, but they also need to be empowered themselves to make a change and make a difference in their own community, their school community, and in their own lives. And so my characters are strong, they're powerful, they're challenged at times, because it's not easy, right, to be that person that's the upstander and does the right thing. But those are the people that really move the needle in life, right? What would we be without the Dr. Kings, right? Those people who choose to stand up when, the world is looking down on us. And so I wanted to make sure that those themes of empowerment, the power of friendship, leadership, having your value and your worth not be defined by people outside but inside, and of course faith, because I am a woman of faith. Those are themes that are involved in my stories.
And again, I'm glad that you are clearly, articulating, spelling that out, because like you said before, people don't want to be preached to, but what you're doing is you're inviting people to talk with, listen to, share, exchange. And one of the things I was listening to when you're describing that, I hear like safe space. So it is a space for you to be who you are and be able to express, decompress, things along those lines, and then, for lack of a better term, being able to, I don't want to say pick up the pieces, but just go ahead and build and rebuild.
Absolutely. And what you see is the things that, when you say safe space, is so important. Some of the things that our students are being bullied on, it would blow your mind, from gym shoes to the color of my outfit to how I style my hair, all these superficial things. And so learning to know that it's okay to be different and to be unique and to be yourself, and that sometimes some people actually see your power and your potential before you do, and not allowing them to destroy that. And so my characters are very strong, and people see that in them. And of course, what do people want to do? The same people that'll build you up, they want to tear you down. And so they are able to deal with the problems and the conflicts that come up by having that self-worth, and also their safe space is both at school and at home. Family is truly important throughout the stories that I write, because it really does start at home. Parents are their children's best and hopefully favorite teacher.
I tell you what, and you shared a lot right there, and even just in that segment, you gave people something to really think about, reflect, evaluate, assess, and ask themselves, what can I do to constructively pivot? So you've got, like you said, some great books and some great themes. Could you walk through with people, and we see the book titles in the back, but walk through with everybody, the books that you've written, and at least one, let's say, what's ultimately one key takeaway that you hope will, like as you hear in education, hook and hold. What's the takeaway that's going to hook them and keep them, there, so they can really immerse themselves and embrace the work that you're doing?
So I believe that you are talking about like the potential readers and readers of the stories. Like, what should hook you is the idea that you're enough. You're enough, and that the power, hating to be cliche, begins within you. And that can appeal to any reader, any kind of audience, because you basically, ultimately, it's up to you. Right? And so if our youth know that they are powerful, I know sometimes we kind of get on this generation. We say they're this and this, all these negative things, but they need to know that they actually have that power. And so throughout, I show that they have the power to make the difference in their community, and it starts with them. And so they don't have to depend on outside sources. The power is right within them to make a difference. And that usually does hook them from the beginning of the story. First of all, these characters, honey, they're real. And so you're definitely going to know and be able to relate to them and know that just like them, you are a regular person who can make a big difference.
And that is so important. And like you said, it might be a cliche, but you know what? Even if it's a cliche, it doesn't make it less meaningful or less impactful. And that cliche is something that not only that you have in the books that you've written, but also the resources that you provide for fellow authors. And walk through with us that bridge from you've identified an area of concern, you have some amazing work which really highlights these different themes and different principles, and now you're parlaying a lot of those areas of ability and self-confidence when it comes to you being a resource for other authors. So walk through with us some of the things that you're doing to help, as we like to say, authors supporting authors.
Absolutely. And that is, other than our youth, I would say authors are those are my people that I want to make sure to support. But how it started is my youth, my students, there was a push for me to even get published. I would read stories, I would perform for them, and they were like, you need to write a story. Like you're telling us all the time, you need to get published as well. And so I did. And what I learned along that journey is that I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have someone to tell me the right and the wrong way to go. And I thought, how beneficial would it have been if I had someone who was ahead of me a little bit? Because it doesn't even you don't have to be the #1 international best-selling author to help someone who's starting on the journey. How great would it be if I had someone, a community where we could learn from one another? And so we need to sometimes be the change that we hope to see in the world. And I'm like, I could be that person for someone else. I don't have to wait until 1 million people know my name. I can tell them what I've learned in my journey, and it may help them along their way so they could be even better. And so even now, I can find myself on Clubhouse explaining how did I become a best-selling author, an international bestseller. I want people to know that. I created a community on Facebook so that we could talk and share, and I could say, hey, this is what I've learned, the good, the bad, and the really ugly of it, so that they could be better as authors. And then, of course, I love coaching authors through the process. And so many teachers that I work with, they wanted to be authors. They closeted, had journals and stories and all these different things. And to see me, they're like, I can do that. And I'm like, not only can you do that, I can help you through that process. And so by being a resource for that, I have authors teacher authors now who didn't even think that it was possible. So I am the resource, but also all my knowledge, and then my community, we're all a resource for authors to help you to that next level, because your book could make a huge impact, but you have to write it and publish it.
Well, and you know what? And when you said that, like I've shared with people, the hardest part is getting started. And like you just explained, like some people think, to your point, you have to be at a certain stature or certain space and place, but I'm sure you communicate this with any of the authors that you coach, or things along those lines. You already have it in you, and it's kind of like, get out of your own way. Like, just get out of your own way and go ahead and just get started. And once you get started, build the momentum, build the confidence. And like you said before, you're reminding people, when you put pen to pad or type or what have you, the potential to really impact 1 or 1,000 or any number in between is so huge, is so important.
And I think the one is important. You know what I'm saying? If you can just impact the one, your story is meant for someone. Now, of course, we hope it grows exponentially, but to impact one life is meaningful. And I know for me, each book, I'm on my 5th book now, and that is what I pride myself on, is just hearing people that have been impacted. And where did it start though? Just by starting and beginning. Like you said, I had to write something and get it out there. And it does take courage. It takes bravery. It takes, believing in yourself. But you have to start somewhere. And if you have a story within you, there's someone waiting to hear it and to be inspired by it. You have to share. So sharing is caring, as they say.
You know what? That old school adage of sharing is caring is so true. And again, even in this segment, the confidence, the passion, and the purpose, like, people who are watching are definitely seeing that intersection. And you made a very valid point in regards to inspiring, because inspiration can come from different ways, shapes, and forms, the whole creative license and all that type of thing. Now, another thing that's taking place right now, so you did make us aware this month is Anti-Bullying Month, but there's another month that kind of took place, well, it's still taking place, that started in the middle of last month, from September 15th until October 15th. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's also Hispanic Heritage Month, if I'm not mistaken. So walk through with us kind of to making, the writing and all that experience as rich as possible. What are some of the things that you're doing that are great tie-ins with bringing in another segment of the community and helping capture even more narratives?
Absolutely. I think literacy is important across all cultures, all communities. And so it's just one of those things. We want everyone to read, and we want to explore all different cultures and their belief systems, because we can learn from anyone. And so I wanted to make sure, especially in my community, in my school community, that we honored authors that were in communities, Hispanic heritage cultures, and make sure that their books were being highlighted and spotlighted. And even the authors that I choose to work with, I want to make sure to have many different voices. The characters that I have within my stories, I wanted to have diversity within there, so that those personalities and those people would be represented and well represented. So I think just the push for literacy, and the fact that everyone, hopefully in each library, this is what I share wherever I go, when I talk to kids, when I talk to whoever, parents, schools, your library, first of all, you should have one, but your home library, whatever you have, it should be diverse. It should be basically a rainbow, because basically what is that? That is you learning and experiencing others. That's what books do. They open doors to other cultures. And so I try to make sure to have some ideas or some suggestions. I think I put it out on social media. Here's some books. But I get those recommendations from kids, like real kids. What books do they like to read? And I kind of put those out there, because some of those authors don't get highlighted. And so I think my part is to work with authors who are from different cultures, to include those type of characters in my storylines, and to make sure to preach literacy in all communities, and that it's important that we all read a book, lee un libro.
I tell you what, you know what, your Spanish, I tell you, my Spanish is not as fluid as yours, so I'm glad that you shared that. And that kind of leads into, taking creative license. We've got something that, like you said, people get motivated and inspired in different ways, shapes, and forms. So I'm going to have our production team, if they can, pull up this short, which not only is promoting Hispanic Heritage Month, but just reading is fun. Reading is, engaging. So let's see what we can do. Production team, can we go to the tape? So I tell you what, but think about it. Motivation, encouragement, inspiration can come from different ways, shapes, and forms. And now I know why I was having those technical issues, because when I saw that, I'm like, this would be so perfect, so ideal. So hey, credit to you and your team.
There is nothing I won't do to get people to read, obviously.
But
those dance moves.
I'll tell you what, but seriously, it's some people, when they hear reading, they think about it as a chore. Mm-hmm. But reading can be fun, and it does open up different, engagement opportunities, learning about so many different things. And think about it, using educator speak, there are multiple learning styles and learning intelligences. And what you did was you and your team tapped into different styles and intelligences to cast as wide a net as possible, especially in time for Hispanic Heritage Month. So I commend you and your team. We can tell you rehearsed your lines and steps 1,000 times. Or I should say 1,008 times.
Good one.
and you're sitting here with creative license. Like, the next time I see you, I'm gonna have something for you. So I'm ready. I'm on alert. But
pull that one out. I needed 1,008 more practices.
You know what? I think, hey JoJo, I think she did a solid job. What do you think? He said yes and gave the thumbs up. So you have an endorsement down here in Atlanta, so you're good. So as we get ready to wind down your segment, last two things. Number one, if people don't remember anything else, what's one seed that you'd like to plant for our viewers so that way they can take it in, digest it, cultivate it, and watch it grow?
One thing I like for the watchers and the viewers to see and to know is choose a book that when you walk away from it, your life has been changed. And there are a lot of books out there. Yes, reading might be a chore for some, but it's also a great opportunity for others. A book can change a life. Just open one.
And I tell you what, that's very powerful. So before we go to our commercial break, please let our viewers know the best ways to stay connected, engaged, aware, and supportive of the great work that you're doing.
Well, you can find me at Fenyx Blue Ink on all platforms, but of course I had to be creative and spell Phoenix in a unique way. And so it is not the typical Phoenix. It is F as in fun, ENYX Blue Ink. So Fenyx Blue Ink, check me out. I'd love to stay in contact with you. And if you need a book recommendation, or if you want to write a book, Fenyx Blue Ink.
Well, I tell you what, I thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, your writing, all that type of thing. Thank you for dropping some gems, nuggets, motivation, encouragement, continued well wishes with all that you are working on and the things that are still on the horizon.
Thank you for all that you do for authors and everyone. We appreciate you, and you're going to win that award.
Okay, I tell you what, so the folks at Black Only Awards, I got an endorsement from Chicago, so I'm just saying. Hey, thank you so much. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our first commercial break, and we come back. This is definitely the Chicago themed show, so stick around in just a couple moments.
Doing good, but doing it greater. That's what Creative Community Solutions is all about. Whether it's ACT, SAT prep, student tutoring and coaching, press and media services, including coverage of Wake Forest University football, and writing and editing services, reach out to them today so they can help you make it happen too. Shouts to our friends of the Georgia Spartans. Connect with them this coming Saturday, October 16th from 1 to 7 p.m. at Exchange Park for DeKalb Art in the Park. Make sure to swing by my table and make sure to check out the Georgia Spartans as they prepare for semi-professional basketball play. Join me on October 21st at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook Live through the Greater Greensboro Black Chamber of Commerce for their Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'll be one of the speakers as we're talking financial literacy and more. Check out the lineup, and again, check them out on their Facebook Live on 6:30. And October 23rd, join me from 11 to 12:30 at Wynn Legacy House 2, 1814 Washington Road. Audio only. It's a meetup to enjoy the audiobooks, meet, greet, connect, and more. And make sure to get them on your favorite streaming platforms. And speaking of getting something, make sure to get the Author A. Snorton Origin series designed by 1906 Tees. It's available on the website. And make sure to check out the other merch as you see listed here through email, PayPal, and all that good stuff. So make sure to check it out. Again, make sure to add the Author's Mixtape audiobook series on your favorite platforms and more. Shouts to Chris Ten for being our introductory author for Volume 4 and our lead author for Volume 5. And shouts to the Black Only Awards for nominating me as one of their Authors of the Year. And don't forget to get Nothing Minor, 9 Stories of Faith, and Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton on Barnes & Noble, online, Amazon, multiple bookstores, and more. Thank you so much for lending your support of me, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. Tonight's show, as you can tell, I have an affinity for the city of Chicago, and our first guest definitely represents Chicago well, and I tell you what, our next guest, not only Chicago, but this brother can be just about any and everywhere. We are so excited to have Red Level Events, Red Level Entertainment in the building. How are you doing this evening?
Man, Andrew, I'm doing excellent, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on. And I tell you what, as soon as you open your mouth, that's like Chi-Town through and through, through and through and true and true. So before we get into the moving parts that you have with Red Level Events, Red Level Entertainment, give our viewers a point of reference. Like we already said, it's definitely got a Chicago theme, but walk through with us a couple of the moving parts that you had before launching your entertainment group.
So my background is born and raised in the south side of Chicago, South Shore to be exact. Went to Bradwell for grammar school, St. Francis de Sales for high school, and Chicago State for college. I worked at CTA for 6 years, and that's where the motivation came to start Red Level Entertainment.
So let me ask you this, and like you said, from day one, from K through 12 to 13, 14, 15, Chicago born, bred, everything. What would you say was that moment where you're like, you know what, there's something else in me that I need to pursue? Because people hear that call, but they don't always listen to it. So what was it for you to go ahead and make the move?
Well, I always knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur from early teens. My dad was an entrepreneur, so I got my motivation from him and my inspiration and courage from my dad. I just didn't know exactly what I was going to do. So just speed up to the year 2000. Some friends of mine, we went to Mardi Gras. We experienced several events, and we got the bright idea to bring some of those events back to Chicago. So that's where the bug came to jump out on faith and start my entrepreneurial career. However, it didn't go that fast. I continued to work at CTA for probably about 2 or 3 more years, and then I decided to jump out on faith and pursue entrepreneurship full time.
And I tell you what, faith, you have to have faith at any level. But when you,
yes,
like you walk through, when you decide to leave a secure situation and go into something where you know that that's where you're supposed to be, but there's a little bit of uncertainty, you have to have faith. Now, let me ask you this. Through those lean years, and every once in a while there's still some lean moments, but through those lean years, in addition to your faith, what would you say helped you to just be able to maneuver and understand that this is part of the process?
Can you say that one more time, Andrew?
Sure, no problem. So during the early years of Red Level Entertainment, what would you say were things that helped you continue to push forward in understanding like those ups and downs, or it's not a straight line, it can go in circles and triangles and squares? What were some things that you felt you had in place that helped you keep perspective and keep focused on what ultimately you wanted to do?
So I would say my faith in God is the one thing that kind of kept me focused. Two, I enjoyed what I was doing. So when they say when you enjoy what you're doing, you won't spend a day at work. So I enjoyed what I'm doing. So those were the two things that kind of kept me focused on continuing to strive through those tough moments that all entrepreneurs have.
Awesome. And I, there's still a couple hiccups every once in a while. Hopefully they're not as big and bad, but they do happen. So let me ask you this. So you have your faith, you have your work ethic, you have your focus. Walk through with our viewers when you, quote, started getting momentum and you realized, hey, this is really starting to come together.
So I'll say probably year 10. So I'll backtrack a little bit. So I started off throwing events. I'll say year 5, I realized that I couldn't retire from throwing events. So I had to change up my strategy a little bit from throwing events to actually marketing. I realized that as an event promoter, I'm really just doing marketing for nightclubs. However, my strategy changed a little bit from actually hosting the events, but providing a service to the event owner, to the nightclub owners, in regards to helping them bring people through the door, as opposed to bringing them through the doors myself.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that, because it's like we have our ideas, or, quote, we think this is, quote, the avenue or way we're going to do it. But like you just explained, you started putting a couple things together and started making adjustments. Now walk through with our viewers, once you start making adjustments, not only were you leaving a footprint in Chicago, but you start leaving a footprint in other cities. So if you can, walk through a little bit of that process.
So, like I said in the beginning, I had some partners that started with me, and my partners decided to move to Dallas, and they began to promote events in Dallas. So while they were in Dallas, I was in Chicago. We were separate, however, we still worked together. So in the beginning stages of promoting, I kind of came in on the tail end, well, not the tail end, but the beginning stages of text message, email blast, that sort of thing. So I kind of learned how to create and send the email blast. So I kind of built my list, and I helped manage my partners list while they moved to Dallas. So that kind of helped me to put an imprint into other markets, as well as my mentor was out of Atlanta. So I kind of traveled back and forth to Atlanta with my mentor. So that kind of helped give me an imprint in Atlanta. And then from there, it kind of just word of mouth. I kind of became known as the go-to person. If you're traveling out of town, if you're looking for something to do, reach out to Red Level Entertainment. And if he doesn't know it, he'll find out.
That's great that you said that, because when we hear about being a resource, that can be in so many different areas, so many different ways, shapes, and forms. Walk through with us. Here you are, and correct me if I'm wrong, about at least coming up on the year 20s, if I'm not mistaken. Walk through with our viewers where some of the key cities where you have your footprint, so that way they're aware, look, it is a process, and there's going to be some bumps, bites, and bruises along the way, but prayer, patience, persistence, and perseverance can really take you places that other attributes might not be able to take you.
So right now, we'll say my footprint is in Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, and Phoenix.
Okay, great. And then building off of that, when you're talking about events, people think, okay, just like the nightclub or nightlife. But one thing that if people do their research is that you've got a wide array of not only things on the entertainment end, but you've tapped into a number of other areas. Can you walk through with us some of the types of events you've been attached to, so people realize, yes, entertainment is a key part of what you do, but there's other moving parts that you have that go beyond entertainment?
So right now I'm kind of I'm gonna say a jack of all trades, but like Andrew said, so right now I still host events from time to time. Right now we have a monthly comedy show that takes place in the city of Chandler, Arizona, called the Downtown Chandler Comedy Experience. I also partner with restaurants and nightclubs, and I put my display ad frames in the restrooms where we have locations in Chandler, Arizona, as well as Chicago, Illinois. I'm also a print broker, so if you are an author and you need a book printed, we can print those. If you need flyers, business cards, step and repeats, outdoor event tents, we can print those for you as well. If you need access to radio advertising, we can connect you with some of the brands in different markets that can help you get your message across. So anything that's kind of advertising, marketing related, we can kind of help you achieve your goals.
And that's great because, again, those things that you mentioned, those are things that, quote, you don't really think about until the need comes up. And,
exactly.
And with you being, I'll say I don't want to say quietly creative, but I'll say this. We're laughing. No, because it's funny because, like, this reminds me of, like, for lack of a term, sitting on the stoop with like a beverage. Be creative. What type of beverage, ladies and gentlemen, and just sitting and just talking life. And like I said before, with your years in the game and your skin in the game, before people are thinking about stuff, you're already like 2 steps ahead. So would you say that it's something, quote, you always had in you, or is it something that you've developed along the way, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. As I sit back and think about some of the things that I do now, I kind of remember as a child doing those things, but not knowing what I was doing. So I'll go back to my dad. My dad had a moving company when I was little, and he would pay me and my friends to go out and pass out flyers for his moving company. I had no clue what I was doing at the time. We went and we passed the flyers out, like we were told, and, we had a little pocket change. As I got older and got into nightlife and doing events, I found myself passing out flyers for those events. So, and then realizing that, there's a lane for that, and it's called street team. And, they're very viable to helping businesses grow on a grassroots level, even to this day when we have all of the digital space to do the same thing. But, grassroots and traditional always works.
Wow. And it's funny because like you said before, sometimes the things that you're doing is, quote, like duplicating what you would do like when you were younger. And like you said earlier, you know, if it's something that is, quote, something you enjoy doing, it doesn't feel like work. So to hear that theme come back up in regards to Street Team, in regards to other things, it sounds like a number of the things that you're doing, it's, quote, you've been doing it all the time, and now you're finding a space to where it's allowing you to continue to grow, whether it's professionally, whether community-wise, things of that nature. And coming back to like some of the types of events, yes, you've got, like you said, the comedy series that you're doing out in Chandler. There's been different trips out of the country, but something that people might not realize is a lot of the business interfacing that you're doing, like some of the business workshops and things along those lines. Could you speak to our viewers to that? Because there's somebody out there that might need, you know, ideas regarding from launching their own business to getting a job, for crying out loud. So walk through some of those types of, I'll say, business related events and programs that your company is attached to.
So, I mean, we can help you get the word out about any and everything. Some of the just non-entertainment events, we've worked with the city of Chicago in regards to providing marketing resources for the 311, the non-emergency phone number. They just relaunched about 3 years ago from just the emergency phone number to an app and a website. And so we kind of help pass out some of the literature at different community festivals and events throughout the city. We did some of the printing for that campaign. We passed out some of the promotional giveaways to just draw people in and get them to inquire what is the 311 campaign. You see it, but a lot of people didn't necessarily know what it was. So, you know, with marketing, you have to entice people. So we kind of got out on the street. We distributed T-shirts and hats and keychains and all kind of accessories and promotional items to help, you know, gather the residents of the city of Chicago to draw them in. We've helped in year one with the RIDE campaign, which is a digital conference that's put on by Rolling Out newspaper. We've helped them on the back end with some of their marketing for that event in year one.
Arts and entertainment, like you said, you've got your footprint in comedy, you've got your footprint business to business, you've got your footprint community wise, and you're just sitting back like the only thing that's missing, like remind me one of my old, you know, one of the, not old, but one of your uncles sitting in the rocking chair, listening to some Otis Redding, sitting till the morning sun, I'll be sitting till the evening's done. Don't make me whistle because I might cut my lip, but I'm just saying. Let me ask you this. So here you are, you've got the anniversary celebration coming up in the hometown in the city of Chicago. What's next? And you kind of dropped a few hints, but what's next? Like, do you see yourself going into different cities? Do you see yourself maybe adding a city outside the U.S.? Like, what are some of the things that Red Level Entertainment is cooking up that you feel comfortable in sharing? But of course, in order to find out, they need to stay connected with you. So what's that middle of the road that you can give us?
So I am in the process of writing a book. I've been in the process of writing this book for a while now. And with the help of my writing coach on the other end of this Zoom, we're going to hopefully get that book out within the next year. That's one thing that I'm working on that people can look forward to. The second thing is we're working on we do plan to expand to some other cities and states. Like I said, we partner with restaurants and nightclubs, so hopefully that will be, I'm going to say hopefully that will be our ticket into some of these cities and states where we partner with Black-owned restaurants inside of those areas. We put our ad frames in there, and then we just kind of help to just navigate through those cities of things to do and places to be when you're traveling to those markets.
Awesome, awesome. So here you have it, business and entrepreneurship. We're going to say by this time next year, thanks for putting polite pressure on me. This time next year, adding author to the list.
Yes.
And before we gradually wind down this segment and before we go to our commercial break, just like I asked our first guest, if people don't remember the moving parts, business-wise, community-wise, those types of things, what's one message that you really want our viewers to take hold of and take with them and put it in their hip pocket, and then for future reference pull that back out to help them get where they're trying to go?
So I'll just say I encourage everyone to find what it is they enjoy doing and figure out how to turn that hobby into, if it's not a full-time, a secondary income to help support you, your family, and the things that you feel strongly about. It doesn't have to be full-time, but we all need multiple streams of income. And if you enjoy doing something, figure out how to make money from it.
I tell you what, that's great advice, and that's a great reminder. So before we go to our commercial break, please let our viewers know the best ways for them to stay informed, engaged, connected, and lend support, because like you said, you've got your share of moving parts, but there's more movement that's coming up on the horizon.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram at Red Level Events 1. That's REDLEVELEVENTS, the number 1. On Facebook, Red Level Entertainment. Twitter, the same, Red Level Events 1. As well as if you just need to reach out for services, follow our website is redlevelentertainment.com.
Well, I tell you what, I thank you so much for taking time out of your moving parts, and wherever on the planet you are, I have a working idea, so I know it's it's a little bit different. Thank you seriously so much for taking time for us and breaking things down, and of course, continued well wishes and congratulations on the anniversary coming up real soon.
Yes. Well, Andrew, I appreciate you having me on the segment. We talked about this some time ago, so I really appreciate you taking the time and letting me come on and speak a little bit. I won't hold up too much more of your time. Anything I can do to help push, let me know, and we'll definitely connect soon.
I tell you what, I received that in the spirit in which is given, and we will definitely be touching base real soon. I'm not going to say when and where. That'll be a pleasant surprise, but I know you already know. The public, they're just going to have to wait and find out. So on that note, we're going to go to our last commercial break and then come back for our closing remarks. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, the author, Andrew Snorton.
Make plans for October 30th for the Halloween Community Day Festival hosted by Taylor Fursell. The first half of the day is all about the kids, and the evening is all about the adults. Make sure to check out the great things that are taking place on the right-hand side and connect with I Am Taylor Fursell on for doing great events throughout Chicago and other spaces and places. We'll have something brewing real soon, so make sure to check them out, and make sure to check me out as we'll have an announcement coming real soon. Shouts to our friends of the short film Mamas. They were a guest on our show earlier this year. Their film is up for an award, so they need our help, ladies and gentlemen. Check out the voting link that you see at the bottom of the screen. Speaking of extraordinary work, when it comes to photography, video, short film, documentaries, commercials, and more, you definitely want to get the picture. Connect with Chris 10 Media on Instagram as well as Facebook for your photography and related needs today. You're out. Custom men's and women's fedoras, multiple lines, personalized designs, and more. Make sure to connect with them today so you can live free too.
And good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. And I tell you what, tonight's show, every show is fun. And with this being the anniversary month and with the city that I have been acquainted with in the past and gotten reacquainted with, it's always great to have friends and associates from Chicago, the 312, and all that type of thing up here. So we want to give thanks to our guests, Fenyx Blue Inc., as well as Red Level Entertainment. And like I usually say, if this is the first time you've connected with them, please don't let it be the last. And this is part of what we do here on the Conversation Corner. So as we get ready to close things out, just a couple of quick notes. Again, remember, we're on every second and fourth Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, you want to check us out. Check me out, statusnetwork.net. Click on the box for Conversation Corner and go ahead and not only catch this show, but catch up on all the shows. As like I said, we are in the last month of year 3, and it is a very pleasant journey. I want to give shouts to Jack, Yannette, Kush, JoJo, and really the person who is the bridge, Cy Tellis, because back on September 11th, 2018, I was a guest on her show, and from that opportunity, it landed me here. So you got to give credit where credit's due. And I guess what we'll do as our almost closing note, if we can get that black and white image up, since we are sticking with the Chicago theme, I had the pleasure on September 27th being a guest on Drive at 5 with Roman. So shouts to Roman Morrow, shouts to the folks at Intellectual Radio out there in the greater Chicago area who had me on as a guest. But what was just as big, if not bigger, was taking time to be back in the city. Can we get that photo up one more time, please? And this snapshot was taken at Leo High School. And if anyone knows this, if you don't know the story of Leo High School, it is an all-male academy, mainly African-American, a few Spanish-speaking, and a couple other students, right there in the heart of Southside Chicago. I got to give shouts to Shaka Rawls, the principal, the entire staff, parents, community at all. So I was able to speak, and that young man is a rising junior. You can tell he's rising because he's a heck of a lot taller than I am, but he also plays baseball. So I was able to talk about the baseball book, Nothing Minor, some of the lessons that are from there. And we're going to work on, with hopefully the support from the viewers on here, we're going to work on making sure that baseball team gets an entire team set. So each and every individual student athletes on the baseball team, we're going to work on that. So we're going to put more info out there. And just like anything, we hear a lot about what's not going well, but we have to remember there are some things that are going well. So shouts to the people at Leo High School, shouts to people in South Side, West Side, and not only in Chicago, but other spaces and places where there are people who are committed to making as positive a difference as possible. And shouts to my photographer, Ivy Michelle, who is doing that as her hobby, but I can kind of see where, just like Red Level Entertainment was saying, it's going to grow into something else. So shouts to everybody. So what we're going to do as we get ready to close out, remember the next live broadcast will be October 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's actually going to be marking the end of year 3, the start of year 4. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. We're going to close out with our usual trailer commercial and then ride out into the sunset. So take care, be safe out there. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
So I always go back to that, and I always feel that Lisa is kind of guiding me. Lisa is putting people in front of me that need. So you have the darkness here. Every hat tells a story, because everything is like I told you before. Everything is faith-based. These hats have different colors. I would love for you. Oh, there it is on the screen.
No.
Bam.
We have been present. Alpha Phi Alpha, like I said, was founded in 1906, and we've been present in front of the scenes and behind the scenes at every important pivotal moment in American history since 1906.
Entertainment, business, community, and more. Join us every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Status Network, the Lyve TV channel, for the Conversation Corner hosted by the author Andrew Snorton. And let's have a conversation.
Shown on the Status Network, Lyve TV, and let's have a conversation. We'll see you soon.